Good morning, good afternoon, and good day wherever you may be joining us from. Welcome to another edition of Sales TV Live. Today, we're challenging you to stop acting like a seller and start succeeding in sales. I'm joined by renowned sales expert, podcast host, and author Andy Paul. Andy's career spans global sales leadership roles and the publication of best-selling books that challenge the traditional sales playbook. His insights have helped countless professionals break free from old habits and achieve greater results through human-centered selling. Andy, welcome.
Rob, thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Andy, let's start just by having you tell us a little bit more about you, your background, and what led you to where you are today.
Yeah, I don't think your show's that long. Yeah, I started my career in tech, selling big computer systems. I worked at Apple in the very early days, worked a number of startups, oftentimes sort of first person in, developing sales teams, did that for about close to 25 years, and then started my own company in the year 2000 to really help. My expertise has been is selling big deals for no-name companies, right? Companies that have no track record, no products, sometimes no products, no brand recognition. And how do you go out and compete against really big companies and win big deals? And so started my company in year 2000, consult with small and mid-sized companies, teach them how to win big deals. Did that for about 15 years, and then started getting into sold podcast, book business, thought leadership, if you will. And been doing that since 2015. So I've produced about 1,300 podcast episodes, written 3 books. Got myself busy.
Excellent. So a real slouch.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's been fun.
Awesome. So Andy, I want to jump right into it for our audience. In your opinion, how does being more human directly impact sellers' win rates?
Well, I think it's defining what I mean by being more human, and I think that my last book, Sell Without Selling Out, I said it's really 4 sort of core human competencies that if you can sort of become proficient in these, that really the only tools you need to really be successful in sales. And those were ability to connect with other human beings, curiosity, understanding, and generosity. The last one being helpful, helping people make decisions to make changes in their business. And to do it sort of because you're there to help them as opposed to extract something in exchange for that help. And that's really what it is. It's just, leaning into just what's it mean to be a human that's interested in other people first, right? And to show up curious to learn about other people and to make a real effort to understand them, because in the last 20, 25 years, selling in general has become so transactional, right? And some of this is the impact of sales technology, CRM systems that say, look, let's institutionalize these stages of a sales process. And this is the way the world operates. Except it's not the way the world operates. It's not the way buyers operate, right? So sellers now are, by and large, are following these 8 or 9 stages in a prescribed sales process that's completely parallel to what the path the buyer's on, and never the twain shall meet. And as a result, we sort of lost this ability to really, let's say, connect with our buyers, because hey, we're just going to put you as sort of an input into our mechanized selling process, and the output's going to be you're going to buy from me. And lo and behold, over the last 25 years, we find that actually a smaller percentage of buyers actually will buy from you if you do that.
So if it's about human connection, how do you teach the ability to connect?
Well, part of it is reframing the idea of what you think selling is. And I think this doesn't get enough attention. And if you ask most salespeople, what's your job? And to me, they'll give an answer that I label as 3P selling. Well, my job is to pitch, push, and persuade you to buy my product. And that's not the job at all. right? The job is to help somebody make a decision to make a change in their business, right? Buying something represents making a change in your business in some dimension. Well, if you show up with the frame that I'm here to help you make that decision, then to be able to do that, you need to start building some trust, right? You need to have that low ability to be able to connect with someone on an emotional level. And it's a term that people hate using about sales is emotional level. We got to connect with someone. Buyers don't have time for that. But the fact is that all the studies that have done about buying behavior, pretty much in the last 5+ years, have said, look, now that's the number one factor that drives buying decisions is emotion based. It's not, you know, it's like, do I trust you? I mean, trust is an emotion to some degree, right? I mean, do I trust you? Do you have credibility? Are you someone I want to take advice from? So you just have to show up really and learn how to say, okay, if my job is to help you make a decision instead of push, then I have to show up and be interested in you. First and foremost, I have to care about what you're trying to accomplish. And if you do that, then that's sort of the first step to learning how to connect with people.
I think you and I are on the same page in that regard. As you know, I teach a marketing class at Northeastern University. Yesterday in class, from the mouths of babes,
Yeah.
I heard one of my students ask something along the lines of, but what happens when the customer's interest, the prospect's interest, aren't aligned with mine? You smile, you laugh, but we're still facing that challenge today. I gave him an answer and I was happy with it, but I would really be curious to hear what you would respond to a question like that.
Well, yeah, that very simple answer to that. Go find someone whose interests are aligned with yours. I mean, there's somebody out there for everybody. And that's not the right way for them to approach it. But my first boss had, and this has stuck with me forever, a guy named Ray, and Ray was a great sales manager. And I remember going into him early in my career and sort of complaining after a hard week out in the field, saying, no one's interested to buy what we have. And he said, well, go find someone who is. And and as part of what his thing was, it's a big world out there, right? And we never do more than just sort of scratch the surface. Always somebody out there that if you're targeted enough, that if you're focused enough on what you're doing, you'll find someone that's interested in what you're doing. Now, the key to that, though, is you have to show up and be interested in them first and foremost, right? Because it's a two-way street. But if you are really dialed in on what you can do to help somebody, then yeah, you'll probably show up a little more curious about, how can I help this person? As opposed to how can I persuade them to buy my product?
But there are a lot of sales professionals that struggle with being curious, being authentic while under pressure to hit quotas. What advice would you give to them to help navigate that tension?
Uh, this is, I'm distilling decades of experience here, but your success as an individual seller is situational. You have to keep that in mind. I've seen it time and time again that people succeed in one place and think, hey, I'm going to go, grab for the brass ring at this other location, this other company, and they fail. And it's not because they suddenly became a bad salesperson, but it wasn't the right situation for them. They went maybe for the wrong reasons. Maybe they weren't supported the same way or set up to succeed the same way. And so as a seller, it's really your obligation, your responsibility for your career and your livelihood to say, what's the right situation for me? And it may be that the boss you're working for or the process they use is so, formulaic, linear, sequential sales process, which unfortunately too many companies do. And you're not able to express yourself and not able to bring your personality to the selling. Everything's heavily scripted. Then that's not your environment. And my last book was really about that. The subtitle of my book was A Guide to Success on Your Own Terms. And so I determined pretty early in my career that after my first sales training class with this company called Burroughs, at the time one of the biggest computer companies in the world, these videotapes we were watching them from the sales trainer just made my skin crawl. And I said, look, I'm either going to have the shortest career in sales, or I'm going to have to figure out a way to do this that fits with who I am. And so I've really spent, I hate to say how long I've been doing this. I spent the entire time saying, look, I'm going to do it the way that I think plays to my strengths. And yes, I'm open to input, and gosh, I've been influenced by lots of people, but there are times I've told bosses, no, right? I think you should go do this. No, I don't think so. I sort of developed a reputation as one company. I've sort of, I don't want to say a doctor, no, but my boss, when I said, don't you ever say yes to anything? I said, well, look, here's the thing is you can tell me to go do something, do this approach, take this approach with a customer, use this tactic. And I said, I could do that, but if it doesn't work, who gets fired? Me or you? So if it's my butt on the line, I'm going to go out my way. If I'm going to fail, I'm going to fail my way. I'm not going to fail your way. And I think it's really important for sellers to say, look, you have the ability to change that, because there are some really good managers out there, just like there are customers that are interested, a number of customers interested in buy what you have. Go find those people, because they'll be transformational for your career. As a seller, you're hiring a boss and you're hiring a situation, and you just need to keep that in mind.
It's interesting that you say that, because I've seen the same on the opposite side, where the hiring managers look at somebody with success in a different role and expect that it translates. What would you say to the hiring managers in that regard?
Yeah, long topic, but here's one answer. That sort of aligns lines up with the question you asked. But hiring managers in general, I talk to VPs about, okay, we've got an open spot, and tell me what you're looking for. Here's what we're looking for. I said, okay, well, let me ask you a question. Have you ever asked your customers what they need your salespeople to be? The answer is no. That's like, well, this is they're the customer of the service you're providing to help them make a decision. What help do they need from you in order to make that decision? And so how's that translating what the skills and attributes and experience set that your salespeople need to have in order to be able to help the buyer? And it's like, oh, no, because, we look at selling as something that we sort of imposed on buyers, right? I want you to be a closer. I want you to be a hunter. We got all these, adjectives we use that are completely useless to a buyer. And we really need to that's what I talked earlier, right at the top, is we have to reframe how we think about selling. And if our job is to help, we're not to pitch, push, and sway, but to help someone make a change decision, then what skills and attributes does a seller need to have to be able to help the buyer do that?
So how does the seller balance the need to meet those needs of the buyer while at the same time advancing their own sale through the pipeline?
Well, why are they different? I mean, that's really the question. Why are they different? They're different in part because, again, how we're framing it. We're saying, look, your job as a seller is you're going to, here's 9 steps. You're going to make contact. You're going to have an initial discovery call. You're going to present the product. You're going to schedule a demo. You're going to have a demo. You're going to present a proposal, present a contract, negotiate a sale, and close the deal. It's like, okay, how does any of those help the buyer make a decision to make a change in their business? None. Not single one of those steps. Maybe the demo a little bit help them, but they're all about you as a seller. Whereas what the buyer needs is the buyer says, look, we're not even sure we know what the real scope of our problem is, or what the opportunity it presents us in terms of the outcomes we can achieve by making a change. Help me understand that. Where does that fit on those 9 steps? It doesn't. So we have to, I said, reframe is to say, look, my job is I'm going to help you understand what your problems are. We're bring our expertise and our experience to bear and our experience with other customers to bear to help you understand perhaps what the real challenges you're facing, help you understand what the business opportunity that exists to achieve certain outcomes. And we're going to help you, make a better decision about how you can achieve those changes. But it's not about coming in and pushing my product. It's about helping you do those things.
That reframing is dramatically different from what most salespeople encounter.
Yes.
To say the least.
Yeah.
Do we start this as a top-down change, or do we really need a skunkworks bottom-up approach?
I think it's a combination of both, right? The fact is, you look at most organizations, B2B sales organizations, you take the top 5% of sellers. This is what they're doing. This is what they're doing. I mean, this is not something just made up. I mean, this is what I did, and it closed 6, 7, 8, and 9-figure deals around the world. So that oftentimes working for startups that, like I said, had no track record, no brand name. In some cases, we didn't even have the product. But yeah, we help the customer think differently about the challenges they're facing and the outcomes they potentially could achieve. And I'd like to say is, when you do this right, the buyers actually hire you to help them make their decisions, right? If you think about this in the context of the jobs to be done theory, right, is that, Clayton Christensen talked about is, we don't buy products, we hire products to help us make progress in some dimension of our lives. Well, that's really what our buyers are doing. They're hiring us to help them make progress toward making a change decision. And in today's world, if you're a salesperson, the buyer is actually investing time in you. It's not, they're not talking to you because they want to. They're talking to you because they need to, right? If they could do it on their own, they would in a heartbeat. But they're talking to you because they need to. There's some help they need from you. And your job as a seller to find out what that help is and provide it.
So that brings me to the next question, and I'm sure we could talk for hours on this alone. Mm-hmm. But how do tools like automation and AI help or hinder this smarter approach to selling?
Okay, well, let's just start with the premise, which is sort of controversial, but whatever. Is, because the data is very clear on this. For all intents and purposes, that sales technology revolution of the last 15, 20 years has been a bust. It has not helped sellers get better at their jobs. It has not helped sellers win a higher fraction of deals. The best data I've seen is that win rates over the last 20 years have actually dropped 2%, despite the tens of billions of dollars invested in sales technology. Now, the problem, though, isn't really the technology, it's how it's being used, right? Because it's being used to do this 3P selling. Basically, we said, look, let's use this technology and automate all the bad sales behaviors we did before. And the result is, sellers aren't any better. Oh, sure. I can send 100 emails in a blink of an eye. But so what? No one's responding to them. No one's opening them. That's not productive behavior. But in terms of using the technology, if you look at any of the sales technologies that you know of, I challenge most people to say, okay, name me one that's actually designed to help the buyers make their decisions. None, right? They're all about doing more emails, more messages, more. It's like, hey, folks, we don't need more of that. When we have a B2B sales industry with average win rates from 16 to 20%, the last thing in the world we need are more prospects. We need to do better with the prospects we have. And yet we spend a disproportionate amount of our energy and time as a sales profession, sales industry, focused on pipeline generation. Well, hey, if you double your win rates, you're not going to need as much pipeline. And I tell you, it's much easier to learn how to increase your win rates than to try to generate 2x pipeline you need to grow with this horrible win rate. And this is a message that's escaped sales leaders the last 20, 25 years because they're so, in love with the technology. It's like the technology is not helping you get where you need to be, and certainly not helping you get where the buyers need to be.
So for all of the salespeople in the audience,
yes,
what is the one thing they could do to start today to prioritize trust, value, and authentic engagement?
Show up and be interested in the person you're speaking with. Truly interested, right? I mean, I look back and start my career. I was selling big computer systems into the construction industry primarily. And my first job, I was 21. I looked 15 if I looked that. I knew next to nothing about business. Fresh out of school. I was a history major. I had taken computer science and so on. So pretty smart person in general, but I could figure things out. But I said, if I just show up, and because I'm a curious type of person, it's just interested in them and what they wanted to achieve and where they'd come from and what their goals and ambitions were and so on. I found these hard-bitten CEOs of the construction companies, these entrepreneurs of my father's generation, gave me all the time in the world to talk with them because I showed up interested, sincerely interested in what they wanted to do and what was important to them. And that's really the key to connecting with any human being is, do you show a level of interest in them? And if you can do that, then that starts to open the doors to building a level of credibility and trust that enables you then to really learn about their business, understand about their business, get the information you need from them to do that. So just show up and, I said, be interested. And that's hard to do if you're showing up and saying, my job is to pitch you. Because that's the opposite of being interested, because you're making it all about yourself.
Really simple stuff.
It is.
Awesome. Andy, this has been great. How can people learn more? Where can they get in touch with you? Of course, LinkedIn, I presume. But
LinkedIn's the best way to do it. There, it's the usual LinkedIn preamble and then real Andy Paul if you want to search. I have a podcast called the Win Rate Podcast that you've been a guest on before, and people can check that out. Those are two good places to start.
Fantastic. We now have a newsletter. Don't miss an episode. Get show highlights, beyond the show insights, and reminders of upcoming episodes. You can scan the QR code on screen or visit us at salestv.live and click on newsletter. This has been another edition of Sales TV Live. On behalf of the panelists and everyone at Sales TV, to our guest and to our audience, thank you for being a part of today's conversation, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.